Hey everybody, how's it going? My name's CurlyBardock, and welcome back to another Showtime
Yo.
Nerds video. Today, we are talking about The Batman. So The Batman came out earlier this month, and we all got to watch it at least once. Me and Nova got to watch it twice. So yeah, let's talk about it. Alright, fucking show off. I am with TheNovaNuclear.
What's up?
I am with Grimo.
At this point, I am Bane.
Alrighty. And we got the myth, the man, the legend himself, Ralph, aka Yes.
Yes.
And we got our special guest, a returning guest that has come on to the show way too many times. We have Zach.
Ayo.
All right, everybody.
I don't know how I was gonna do anything without that lead up.
You're welcome. So
Thank you.
we are talking about the Batman. Matt Reeves' first, I believe, his first outing into the superhero genre. And you know what? I really want to start off talking with specifically Zach, Grimo, and Ralph, because I remember the first time watching this with you guys didn't really have the best experience.
Yes.
Not at all.
I mean, and not the best experience. I feel like it was just timing, honestly, because like being more awake now, having watched it a second time, yeah, definitely not as bad, but still same critiques I have personally.
Sure. So, I don't know what to say. So yeah, I think I'll start it off. I thought that this movie was pretty good. I don't know. It's hard to debate this when I think this is probably the best Batman movie that's ever released. It's not the best movie out of the Batman franchise, but it is the best Batman movie in my eyes.
Fully agree with that.
I fully agree.
I don't agree with it.
Why?
I mean, to be honest, like, it's just, again, like the beginning was amazing for me. It really gave me Batman the way that not a lot of directors have. It made me feel like the director actually watched or read a fucking Batman content or comic, and it was like, oh, finally someone knows what the fuck Batman is supposed to be, as opposed to this rich boy that just, he's supposed to be a superhero. No, he's a fucking detective. His whole title is World's Best Detective, and we get to see that at the beginning. But after the beginning, it just goes downhill to me, and it's just like shit. It's great Batman movie, but because of how like everything else went down for me, it just wasn't the best Batman movie for me. I feel like I still go with the Dark Knight trilogy type of movies. I feel like they, even though it wasn't Detective Batman, we still see Batman, and here, if the movie was tweaked a bit with, it probably would have been for me as well.
But what is it that you wanted it to be tweaked with?
It's just, all right. So as a Batman film, I understand that you want to make the mystery longer because you want him time to discover what the mystery is. But at the last part, it just feels like they nerfed both characters' intellect so that they could have another extra act of them trying to figure out each other, where it's like you had the entire first 2 hours for this. Why is it now that Batman discovers that there's a huge ass plot going on, and Riddler still doesn't know Batman is Bruce, even though he's been digging on Bruce because he wants to kill him? Me personally, assuming that you've searched a person because you want to kill them, you'd probably know their deepest secret because you're following them, you're observing them, you're noticing certain patterns. And who likes more patterns than Riddler? Nobody. He's the pattern master. So how the fuck does he not make a connection from a person he's literally observing and trying to kill?
Well, I think he does know who it is.
No, I don't think so. And here's
No,
my
no.
reasoning for it. It's because the way the Riddler saw the Batman and the way he saw Bruce Wayne, if he put together that they were the same people, it would shatter him. And let me break it down. Because one, as you know, at the end, in the final act, you see that the Riddler actually admires Batman. And the reason why he did all this was because he was inspired by Batman's willingness to put matters into his own hands, and he thought they were actually partners in crime. He thought that they were doing this together. And to correlate Batman with the person that he hates the most, Bruce Wayne, I feel like there's like something in him that just wouldn't allow him, even if he could have known, it just wouldn't allow him to make that connection.
No, but the thing is, even at the end, he still gets shattered. So they skipped over it to have the same ending, anyways.
I do feel like he does know who he is, and the main reason is that if you look into like all the things that the Riddler did throughout the movie, the only one that really sets it off is the orphanage scene. Why send him to an orphanage, even though you send him to every single crime scene, and this orphanage is the only one set out, and he sent out the crime scene to Wayne Manor to kill Bruce Wayne. Why send Batman to?
I mean,
look,
wasn't he because he was an orphan?
Yeah, he was an orphan himself, and that was the
Yeah,
same orphan.
that was the reason why.
But
not only that,
he always sends Batman to the crime scene or where the crime scene is going to be.
No, he's sending Batman to places where he were made him. Everywhere Batman has gone is something that has to do with him and what he feels made the Riddler. He doesn't feel like the Riddler was made by him. He feels like the Riddler was made by events. The orphanage is one of them. The politicians is another one.
Can I see my theory though?
Yeah.
He sends Batman to the orphanage, and once he sends the bomb and sees that Bruce Wayne has not died from the scene, because these two people are supposed to be two different entities, and that's what he has in his mind, because he does not make the connection that these two are the same person. So Batman, and he leaves the riddle for Batman at the end, because that's what he always does. And him sending Batman to the orphanage, sure, it shows him how he becomes a Riddler, but he also tries to separate Batman from the crime scenes to see the true face of Batman. Is he really Bruce Wayne or not? So once he finds out that Bruce Wayne has not died, he makes that connection that Bruce Wayne is Batman because he's not in that specific spot because he's an introvert.
I'm gonna hold you on there for a second.
I'm gonna have to disagree entirely because he found out Bruce Wayne didn't die before he even sent Batman to that new riddle.
I also think that the Riddler just did not prepare for Alfred for anyone else to take the envelope.
No, but Bruce Wayne would have been in that area, but because he was an introvert, he does not go out. He was supposed to be always in his manor. That's what Bruce Wayne was in the movie.
I disagree with that because if you saw the explosion itself, it only injured one person. It would have taken out the whole tower if he was planning that. He would have taken out the whole tower.
And if you're prefacing that he's following Bruce Wayne because he's an introvert, then how come he hasn't tracked Bruce Wayne completely and found out that he's Batman?
Either way,
this was his confirmation. I'm saying that this was his confirmation, leading into that Bruce Wayne is Batman because Bruce Wayne was not in his mansion with Alfred.
You can also Lewis. No, I know. Hold up. I know this sounds crazy, but it can also be that two people are on separate parts of a mansion because it's huge.
Yeah.
So it could just be
a tower too.
Yeah, I think I like where you're going with this.
It's too much.
I think you're looking into it too deeply because if you look at the scene, let's look back at Arkham, right? He is screaming, he's like Bruce Wayne, and he's like he's the one we didn't catch, and he's genuine. He's serious. He thought that Bruce Wayne was the only one he didn't catch. And it was because it was at place at the wrong moment, at the wrong time. I genuinely think that the Riddler doesn't know, but he's at the cusp of it. And
I don't think he cares either, though.
Yeah. And also, if he didn't know, he wouldn't have been as distraught by not killing him. Like, you see him in the scenes, he's like, he's the only one we didn't get. We were so close, didn't we?
Don't you see? Don't you see that's like his leverage though? Like he knows the name and he's just saying it in the beginning.
It's not because he was mentioning everybody else too.
What
it's not. It just looks like that because of the way that. So
it's also the way that it's also the way that the director poised the scene is to insinuate that he knows that Batman is Bruce Wayne until the very end of the tension ends. Because
it's like a plot twist because he was saying Bruce Wayne the entire time, but then they made it like, oh, he doesn't know who Bruce Wayne is. Yay, woohoo! Like it's not a twist and then another twist. It's just one twist. You think he knows who Bruce Wayne is. You feel that shit.
I don't think it's a twist though. I think he knows that it is, but he doesn't want to ruin the game. I don't think he wants to ruin that puzzle.
No,
No, because
that's
he broke down. Remember when Batman didn't even agree with him? Because to him, Batman is a whole different entity from what you're even thinking. He
exactly.
doesn't even think Batman is Bruce Wayne or is anybody else. And that's the problem. Like, if you really researched Bruce Wayne, you would have known something, like
No.
one thing.
That's
But
why I believe that he forced himself or subconsciously chose not to correlate them. Because I feel like deep down he wanted someone to be just as crazy as him or just like him on his side.
Yeah,
I mean,
he said that when they were in the Arkham scene, he was like, I had it all planned out. We were gonna watch the whole thing burn together, and like he gets so pissed, like you said. So yeah, I think he did
yeah, but
subconsciously
he would have
subvert that.
pulled that exception instead of trying to kill him.
Maybe.
He would have been like, because again, there was other politicians he didn't kill at all. So obviously he made some exceptions because he didn't think they were worthy of him. So if you made a subconscious decision, oh, I know this person is this person, then you wouldn't even try to harm
But
them.
he's going for the big guns. He thinks that these are the people that ruined his life.
Yeah, but that's the thing with Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne doesn't even have a direct connection. It wasn't him. It was his fucking father. So it's more
That
out
doesn't
of
matter
hate.
to him. He's saying
Exactly. So
Oh,
he
man.
would have killed them and everything. But it's just like it just feels dumb that if you like, even if you hate someone, right? Let's say you're the Riddler, right? And you find out that the son of someone big is the Batman, right? Even if it's at a subconscious level, don't you think you'll play some favorism? He
yeah.
still attacked them. He still wanted to kill the shit out of him. It's just he failed. And the reason why Alfred survived is because he noticed like he instantly noticed as soon as he opened the letter, he fucking threw it back and he tried to push himself back. That's the only reason he survived. But if it was I'm assuming that he thought Bruce Wayne was too dumb to know, so he would have been close to the card and it would have been an instant headshot with a bomb.
Yeah.
But that's the problem. He didn't do any research on Batman Bruce. He didn't
Just
know
crack your knuckles.
anything. Like yeah, he didn't know anything. It was like Bruce Wayne was a dumbass to his eyes.
Yeah.
And for someone who literally methodically planned out even the death of Falcone to the fucking minute detail, you think he wouldn't plan that out for Bruce?
Well, you have to remember in this universe that Bruce stayed in his mansion the whole time. No one sees him.
Yeah, the
But
There's
Congress-
not
the
there's
Congresswoman
not a
wanted
lot
her
on
mayor, she was
Bruce.
like, you don't go out.
There's
you
not a
know, your
lot on
family's
Bruce,
not
just
as
that he's just an
philanthropy as it
orphan.
used to be.
Okay, so
And he was trained.
hold on. Let's steer away from this. I really want to talk about the actual movie, and not just theorizing stuff. Let's talk about since we're on the Riddler. Let's talk about the Riddler. Did you guys think that in this movie he fulfilled his role perfectly all the way through? I want to start with Ralph.
Fulfill his role.
Like as the villain.
I think he did, but I personally I think like it's not the way that I would have wanted it, because it seems more like the way he's psychotic, it seems more like a Joker type thing than I would have liked to, I would have liked it. But like all in all, I think it was very fun to watch, like how his portrayal, I don't know the actor's name, but like his portrayal was hilarious, like down to like the mannerisms of the Riddler. It was really funny to see how crazy he is, like the like random like the grins, the size of like relief when he sees like Batman there when he gets caught. I think it was really good, but like the part where he plans that whole thing at the end about the city, like about blowing up the bridge and flooding the city, you can tell that wasn't his choice. You could tell that that's a director's choice. That right there, you can tell that was the director saying, "Hey, we need a second thing." That wasn't hit. That doesn't it like they didn't play it off to be like his idea. It was just kind of like that one more thing that the director wanted to add.
You know what
Or
I genuinely
Warner
believe?
Brothers, whatever.
I genuinely believe that that's like Warner Brothers doing, because if
Yeah,
Matt
it
Reeves
felt like
had
a
his
Warner Brothers
way,
decision.
Oh, yeah.
if he had his way,
agree with
he
that.
probably would have ended it like they ended Seven or the Zodiac.
I would agree.
Yeah. And honestly, if they ended it like that, where it ends off with, like, because even with that act, right? Riddler kind of just wins. Sure, he's in prison. He's in an asylum, right? But he got everything he wanted. except Bruce Wayne. He got the city to be flooded, people killed. He instilled fear into the hearts of many. I think that this like besides Bruce Wayne not being killed, the Riddler got a solid dub on this movie.
I agree
Yeah, 'cause
with
it-
you. Like for
yeah.
example, at the end, even when not only did he lose Bruce, he lost Batman. He lost 2 in 1, right? Because he
No, his plan
wanted
was
to
never to
enjoy that.
defeat Batman, though.
No. His whole thing is he wanted to enjoy it with Batman, and Batman didn't like it. So
Right.
that's a defeat for him. That's what broke him down the most out of the entire film. That was the one moment where we see Riddler actually feel pure like anguish in his heart, right? And the thing is, not only did he lose Batman and Bruce, but at least he gained someone out of it. Of course, there's speculation. Some people are saying Joker for a definite. Some people are saying it might be Two Face. You gotta look into it. But again, he got someone at the end. He saw
Confirmed.
a
He got a
partner.
friend.
Exactly, he saw a partner.
Confirmed, though.
It's like two loss, but then everything else is a win.
See, I
Wasn't it
think
confirmed there was Joker?
it was confirmed.
It is
It's
confirmed,
confirmed.
it is
Yeah.
All right, all right, all right.
It was
So
also rumored before the movie came out.
So I also want to point out that I think that the Riddler started off as a good antagonist in like the first hour, but then became a not like a immediate threat, but became a looming threat over the whole movie. Because the second part, like the second act, mostly dealt with the mob and Falcone and all the issues with Selena Kyle.
And Catwoman.
Yeah, and actually they don't call her Catwoman in this.
True.
Funny enough.
They don't call anybody funny enough by really their name. For
Yeah, they
those.
only call Batman Vengeance.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is very weird. They only ever call Penguin a handful of times, and that's it.
Yeah.
I think it was only one.
So I think that like while I did enjoy his performances when he was on screen, I wish we had more of him. I really wish that they used the Riddler more. But for what he did for his purpose, I felt like he did a pretty decent job.
Yeah, I feel the same. I feel the same thing because I agree with you that in the beginning he was way better, and they should have put him more in near the end, not as like a looming threat. But I did like the idea of they doing a reimagining to his character, to like he's not all the smarts. It's basically what I mentioned before with Ralph and Zach. That it's similar to what they did with the Joker, where he's not insane. He's just really smart for that time where it makes him look insane. But with the Riddler, they're doing where he's really insane to make him look smart.
For context, he's referencing Heath Ledger's Joker.
Yeah, Heath Ledger, sir.
Yeah.
I would have agreed with you on that, except for the very last scene. Like
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
that
the very-
last moment, that just shows you his most insanity.
yeah, it showed that like at the end of the day he's not like at the end of the day he's crazy. It's not like in previous like Riddlers like adaptations. It's like at the end of the day he's a genius and he's he puzzles because he loves it and because he's smart enough to know it. That's what he loves about it. Like because he loves the appeal to his ego.
His
Yeah,
actual-
he's a very egotistical person at
Yeah,
his
the
core.
thing with him in the comics is that his biggest downfall is his actual intelligence. Because when everything is just too straightforward for him, in the comics it shows how much it bores him to the point of like insanity. So everything has to be a riddle. Everything has to be made complex in order for him to process it nicely. So it's just like they showed that. So I'm kind of glad about that.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about yeah, I guess let's talk about Selena Kyle. I think that unfortunately, and I don't even think it's that weak of a part, but I think Selena Kyle's portion of the story was the weakest part of the story. While I did like her being there because she shows like a good perspective of Gotham, where like, you know, Riddler is the insane madman of Gotham. Selena's like perspective on Gotham is like the underground, like the shitty, scummy, cruel parts of Gotham that she had to grow up with all those years. And I think that's great, and I love that she's there. I just wish they did more or find a decent balance between her and like the looming threat of the Riddler.
I feel like they should have made it more meaningful to Batman itself because like her having a story with Falcone made it kind of like feel unnecessary. Like it felt like an unnecessary decision that kind of dragged her into the story instead of like her naturally being there. It really felt forced when they had that whole revenge, like the revenge for I think her name was Annika. So like that was a good way to get her into the story, but forcing her into like being Falcone's daughter, that was so like that felt so
It's
forced and unnecessary.
but it's I don't think it's I don't think it's forced because I think in the comics he's also her daughter or his
Yes.
daughter in the comics as
Yes.
well.
It could be,
Yeah,
but the way they did it, it just felt like it elongated. It felt like it elongated the story
yeah.
to to make it feel, and it felt a little bit too dry in that sense.
Yeah, I mean it all helps to correlate the central theme of the story, which is just vengeance and how you can't rely on it 100% of the time. And
Yeah, it was good character for her, but it didn't correlate to the main plot of the story, but it did create character like background character for her.
yeah. Um yeah, I don't know. I think if you're talking about performance, I think she was solid. I love what's her name? Zoe uh
Like
Kravitz.
Kravitz.
Kravitz, dude.
Daughter
She
of
is amazing.
oh,
She is amazing.
Yeah,
Uh
she was really good.
yeah. I think she did a pretty good performance. Wish they did more with the character. Um let's talk about I actually want to talk about these two characters as like a duo. First let's talk about the Batman, but then let's talk about Jim Gordon and the Batman. Um
I want to talk about the Penguin first, though.
do you want to talk All right, let's talk about the Penguin then. Let's do it.
Dude, the Penguin's acting in this film was like so fun and so crazy. Like it like at some points in the story though, he felt like an NPC.
Yeah.
Like he felt like
Yeah, that's
the
yeah.
minute he got dragged into like that whole riddle thing, with the Arata, my bad. Like it felt like as soon as he bounced back from that and was like back with Falcone, it's just like, wow, you are an NPC. You just respawn. That's great.
Yeah, I mean
But, like,
like I think it's not his time. Like they literally are making a show for him.
Yeah.
I like that he's here. Like I said,
Dude,
I
his
like he's
acting was so good. Like
yeah, it was so good.
Colin Farrell was so good.
Unnecessarily good if you ask me.
Yeah, it's like, yo, are you sure? Like, because the first time I've seen him was like in Fantastic Beasts. So like after hearing him, I was like, where are you from exactly? And then I found out he's like, I think from Scotland. And like, where do you? It's just incredible.
Yeah.
The mannerisms are so good. The accent is just so fun.
Yeah, I actually can't wait for the Penguin spin-off show. I like
Yeah, I
that
feel like that'd be cool.
it's tackling it's almost acting like the old Gotham TV show where it was the police force versus like all the madmen of
I said the same thing when
yeah.
I was rewatching it.
Yeah, so
It was very
it's
good
like
in
a
this.
what is it? It's a spiritual successor.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for that. I'm sorry, I really want to talk about the Batman himself because I feel like this Batman, if you only watch the movies and haven't read the comics, is pretty divisive for you. I've met a lot of people who say that this Batman is dog shit or that this is the best Batman they've ever watched. There's no line in between, you know? So what do you guys think?
I think it's the
Start with
best
Zach.
interpretation.
But do you think this is your favorite Batman? Do you think this is the best Batman out of everything we've had?
I think this is the best live action Batman we've ever had. I mean, everybody can have their opinion, but like this is in terms of comics as close as I think we've ever gotten.
So you're saying
Because
in terms of this being close to the source material, this is the most accurate.
Like exactly to what Grimm said. He like Matt Reeves read a fucking comic book, sat down, looked it over, looked for all those key plot points and like details that every fan would love, and was like, you know what, I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna put it in, and I'm gonna give the fans what they want.
Okay.
Like the Dark Knight is very good, but I heard a thing. It's like it's very much a superhero movie and not a Batman film. This is a Batman film because, like Grimm said, he's the detective. He's exactly what he is in the comics. He's not trying to be like Superman or Wonder Woman. He is trying to be the detective that solves the crimes of Gotham, which is exactly who he is.
I'll agree with that too. Agree.
You do or you don't?
I do. I do
Oh.
agree with it. Where we've seen in multiple interpretations of Batman where Miles Kane was literally just a man who acts like a bat. That was the movie. You see a clip of him sleeping upside down like a
God, I
bat.
love those Tim Burton movies.
It was just funny because it wasn't really Batman, and that Batman was like just a killer at that point, and that's what the story was basically early on. And the Dark Knight gives us a close enough Batman, but this one just is the closest thing to a comic,
Yeah.
and I think that's why I love about it, where you see why he has his morals of not killing and all that. Even though he beats the shit out of someone,
I
he
I
doesn't kill.
I think the most controversial part for most people was the Bruce Wayne side of Batman. Because
Fair controversy.
a lot of people didn't like that he was basically like not like the playboy millionaire philanthropist that we all expect him to be, and that he's a fucking loser. He
Yeah,
stays
he's a shut-in.
indoors, he hates himself, and like I can't say he's a loser. He's just the man is
The
just
thing,
sad.
the thing I would say about that is that he's still learning. He's learning how to balance his life because at this point in his life, he's just thinking Batman's the only way, vengeance is the only way to make Gotham right. But at the end of the film, he sees that hope is the right way to save Gotham. Giving hope to people is the best way to save the whole city. So I think in the future we're gonna see more of that. It's just that we didn't see a good glimpse. We only had what a couple scenes of Bruce Wayne, and we see only Batman in this film.
Right.
So I don't think we should give a just good rating on how his Bruce Wayne was in this film.
You can
I
rate
don't
it.
think
I think it's good for the
I
era that they're posing. But like
Yeah.
I
I
think
can tell that
I
there's
think
like some
there's
things I'm missing from like stuff
I'm
like
saying to get to give
Nolan.
I'm saying to give I think we need a more sample size of this Bruce Wayne to actually compare it. I don't think we can compare fairly because we don't have enough.
We definitely can.
Uh,
We had a
I'll,
chunk of a movie to really get to know him and who
well,
he
we
is.
only see Batman. We only see Batman. It's basically 80 to 20%. Yeah.
I agree with
Yeah,
Lewis.
but
He's saying like
just because most of the movie has Batman does not mean you can't compare Bruce Wayne. That doesn't make sense. Hold on,
But Bruce Wayne,
hold up.
Bruce Wayne barely showed up.
I want to
Bruce
sum.
Wayne
No,
barely.
look at him when he's like following everybody around with just like the helmet and stuff. Well, like with the bike, that's actually Bruce Wayne right there. We see him as Bruce Wayne, just trying to be
Acting
a
like Batman,
civilian, but at the same
acting
time
acting
being
like
like,
Batman, acting like Batman. That's what I'm saying. We don't see the true Bruce Wayne until what
No,
the
so I want
funeral
to.
scene.
no, but that's the problem. Like Riddler said, Batman is the real Bruce
Yeah.
Wayne, and
So
The
right.
Bruce Wayne that we're used to, is like after Batman puts the facade of being Bruce Wayne. But this is like really Bruce Wayne, aka Batman. This is the same person. It's just he doesn't know how to make them separate entities yet. He was moving around. He was trying to be a detective. He's even though he's a celebrity, he was trying to move in the shadows. But that's like Bruce Wayne because he had to move in the shadows by being a
Yeah.
celebrity.
The one thing I want to say is that like so Robert Pattinson said this in an interview before the Batman film came out that the true Bruce Wayne is Batman. And his like Bruce Wayne is Batman. That's who he is. It's not the fact of like him trying to balance like the true he feels himself to be truly Batman. Robert Pattinson like when he was like thinking about the character and how he would portray it, he was thinking that to put on the like to truly put on a mask for Bruce Wayne, like Bruce Wayne to put on a mask, it is to be the billionaire philanthropist. That is his mask. His true form is Batman, and that's what he wanted to portray in the film.
Yeah.
Which is perfect for again a year two because this is the beginning. This is where Batman doesn't know the difference between Batman and being Bruce Wayne. For him, all the wealth that he has, you know what's funny? Like there's a video of Robert Pattinson sleeping through a screening of his movies. That's exactly what this Bruce Wayne is meant to be. It's meant to be someone who has all this wealth, who has everything, but doesn't care for it. And so, because it's his beginning, he doesn't know that he has to act in order to get what he wants. He just wants to get what he wants through vengeance, as they mention a lot in the movie.
Right, they did that. They did that when they were about to go to the funeral scene, and Bruce is sitting in front of the computer going over like file data and everything, and Alfred's like, "You need to go to the board meeting with the Wayne Enterprise," and she's like, "I don't care about that. That's not my family's legacy. This is my family's legacy." And he really like harkens that. He's like, "This is what I need to do," and Alfred's trying to tell him that both parts of it are, and that he needs both, and he hasn't realized that yet, which is good for year two. Like, I feel like everybody that thinks that Bruce Wayne is supposed to be fully fledged doesn't realize that he's only 2 years.
I
And they
think it's
mention it
only
multiple
because
times.
they're so used to Bruce Wayne already being this developed playboy, because that's how every other iteration of him is in a movie. Like,
Yeah, and the
That's
big
exactly it. They always flesh him out as if he's been doing this for years, and
no,
every time they do that.
no, but the biggest problem is that he chose year two, which is an odd like picking of Bruce because it's not exactly the beginning, so you don't see him develop into that. It's more of a like he already has a year of experience. He has been doing Batman shit, and so he has a reputation, but it's not the reputation people expect. So it's like it in the middle ground between being something completely from the start or being something that people are used to, and so people want to like grab towards it being what they're used to, but it's not. It's something right in the middle of him being new and him already having experience.
Yeah, and every time they always go over like every other iteration is always skipped over like the beginnings. They always make him like he knows what he's doing from the moment he gets started, and that's not true in any case of Batman. He's always gone through like growing pains of learning how to be who he is now, or who he wants to be, like the true version of him. And he doesn't, like, they always gloss over that. Like, I just remember watching The Dark Knight and just being like, wow, he really got everything together really easily, whereas compared to every other superhero you watch, they all go through like a learning curve, and he's just like handed the tools to himself, kind of.
No, you know the funny part is, look, outside of the what's it called, the Penguin and Batman chase, which was the best scene in the entire movie. You cannot argue with me. That was the number one scene in the entire film, right? But other than
what
that,
was what was sorry?
The car
Batman
chase.
chasing Penguin,
Oh,
where
that was
he explodes.
fucking awesome.
I got you.
Exactly. That is the
Yeah.
best. That is the best scene. But other than that, my second favorite scene has to be when he's fucking gliding and he fucking
Oh,
hits the train tracks. Bro, I was like, yes, this is Batman Year 2 who thinks he's dope and badass, but fucks up like that. That is my Batman.
Okay.
And I
yeah.
loved it.
That's how you know he's year two. That's the real like
Exactly.
indicator.
Exactly.
So jumping off of that, I want to talk about Commissioner Gordon in
Ooh, I have a lot
this
to say.
movie. Commissioner Gordon and Batman make the best buddy cop duo I think I've ever seen out of a Batman movie.
The flows are so fun.
It's so good.
Them
Like,
bouncing off of each other.
do you know my favorite scene? I think you guys can agree with this. That with them together is when he's in the prison and he's just like, "You're gonna fucking punch me to get the fuck out of here." And I loved it. Them like figuring out the story together, and like it also helps set up Gordon to be this sort of like also this really well built detective for like the Penguin spinoff show, which I'm glad. I really hope. What is the guy's name? I know I do
Colin
this every.
Farrell?
Who?
Colin
Oh,
Farrell.
No. The Gordon.
Oh, I think his name is James Wright. I might be wrong.
I think that's James Gordon. Let me see. Jeffrey Wright. Yep.
Jeffrey Wright. I'm sorry.
So good. He did such a great job. Fucking props
All
to
right.
that guy.
Can I make
Yeah,
a
he was
comment?
really good.
Is this something new?
No, this is on. Well, it's sort of like new, but also what you're going off of.
Go
I
ahead.
think my favorite part about this is a lot of people were like iffy about the race change, but I'm glad that they didn't make it a focus. They just did it and made his character good.
Yeah.
He was James Gordon, just black. That was it. It wasn't that they made him that black was his only identity. He's just James Gordon, regular old, the way you love him, but his skin is different. And I love that because it's like
Yeah,
when they
that's
do
really good.
race change, they try to shove it in your face, and at that point, it becomes untasteful because they're ruining the character. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, but my original James Gordon wasn't into into like race. Why is he? So I'm glad that they did the race change and then they kept them the same. I
Yeah.
love it. It
Yeah,
was
because
like,
it really shouldn't matter. This guy
yeah,
just did an
exactly.
outstanding performance.
Exactly. And you know what? I do want him to be changed in comics. I do, sort of like with Samuel L. Jackson and Nick Fury, how they changed Nick Fury immediately as soon as Samuel like accepted. I want that in comics because it felt nice. And unlike other characters, his race doesn't really matter to his role. For example, Batman has the blood in the richest like family of one of the richest family on Gotham, so him being white sort of does help. Again, there's Gotham is very racist as well, so having that for Batman is good. But when you change someone like James Gordon, who his race doesn't like make him any better than anyone else, and changing him to black and making him like the same as he always is, it's beautiful. And his acting was fucking phenomenal. I thought, you know what I thought of? I thought of the James Gordon in Gotham and how he interacted with Bruce, and it was like even though they look different,
It's
I
one to
still
one.
felt
It felt
that
the same,
same
I
yeah.
Oh
think it's one
connection.
to
yes,
one.
same.
Yeah.
It was like the same, like it was like the same actors just changed a little bit,
Hmm.
and I was like, that is beautiful. That right there, we need more of.
So
Yeah,
I kind
definitely.
of just want to give my overall like review of this movie. We're not ending it, but I'd rather just get this out of the way. Um, I think this is probably for me the best Batman movie I've watched. And after the screening of the Batman, I went to go watch the Nolan trilogy again. I just that the Batman just sticks in my head, and it's like it leaves me in awe. There's a lot of things that I hate. I feel like the Riddler could have been better. I feel like this didn't have to be. I think the biggest gripe for you, Grim, was like this didn't have to be a fucking 3 hour long movie. They just wanted to cram a lot of things in here. But I think overall this movie is amazing, and I would hate to see anyone debate otherwise. Grim, I am asking you about your review. What is your general overall review of the Batman?
Overall, like entirely, I give it a 7 out of 10 entirely. From the beginning until Falcone's death, I would have gave that probably an 8, 8.5, right? That's when we really see
Mhm.
Batman be Batman in his year, 2 years. We see Riddler be Riddler and this whole mystery around it. And Selena Kyle had that good, not background, but like very important side character. And Jim Gordon and Batman obviously was the best duo. But after that, after the whole flooding and everything else, it just felt like they extended everything. They extended Selena Kyle. It's like, all right, you know what? Give her extra time because we have extra time in our hands. Then they extended the flood. Then he fucking fell for twice for too long. So that part I give it probably like 5 ish or 4 ish.
Yeah.
It wasn't good. So overall 7, but the first part it was really great.
Yeah. All right. Good to hear. All right. Lewis, what do you think? What's your general overall review?
I loved it. I gave this film an 8.5 out of 10. It does show a perspective of Batman that we haven't seen in a long time. We haven't seen his detective side as brought out like this.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I really like the Riddler. Like I mentioned before when we were talking about the Riddler, that it's a new perspective of Riddler and reimagining of a character. It's not the old Riddler that we are supposed to see from the comics. It's his own interpretation of it. I think that's the best part of this film. Even though he lacks in the end, I still love that part of it.
See, what did you say? It was 8.5?
Yeah, 8.5.
Nice. All right.
What about
Ralph,
you,
what do
Ralph?
you think?
What do you? Yeah.
So personally, like the main reason I give this movie probably like an 8, 7.5 is that like the details of this film, spot on. Like down to the minute detail, it was spot on. Like it felt like I was literally watching a comic book, like live action, and it was great. It didn't feel like I was watching a comic book movie. It literally felt like I was watching a comic book. So I'd probably give it like an 8, especially because like you get to see all the small details, like Robert Pattinson's intimidating breathing, like all the adrenaline rushing through him. You get to see like literally down to the detail of like the spray paint. Sometimes it's a little spread out too far on the like on the right or left because it feels like it's left over. Like all that small stuff really plays into how big the film is, and like the cinematography was great. Like overall, I just give it like an 8.
Yeah. All right. And finally, our special guest, Zach. What is your general overall review of the Batman?
Mine is pretty much an 8, is same as Ralph, but for different reasons. I have a mix of same with Ralph and same with Grimm because I love the details. Like you said, Ralph put it perfectly. They literally took a comic book and made it live action. They did the exact same thing. But towards the end, it was dragging on. It was like that's where it goes downhill for me. And it's like it doesn't hurt the whole film. It's just that one part that could have been shorter. And if it had been, the movie would have been a 9 for me. But it's just going to be an 8 because of the like last half hour, 45 minutes.
Mhm.
It just like takes too long. Like Grimm said it too. He falls twice and has to get picked up again. It's kind of ridiculous, that part. And then he
Yeah.
falls into electric. It's electricity. It's electric water, which somehow to me, I don't know how he survives or anybody survives that, but that's just me. It's kind of ridiculous. But yeah, an 8 for me. I still think it's the best comic book version of Batman we've gotten, for sure.
Yeah, I didn't give my number score. I'm also gonna give it. I did give it a 7 when I first watched it, but I watched it again, and I know I said I didn't like it the first time, the second time I watched it, but I will give this like an 8. This movie is just stellar. There's a lot of things they could have done better, but in terms of a movie being so comic book accurate and also being done pretty well, I give it major props. This is really good.
So, like, I think what this movie did great is that it sort of spoiled us because it felt so much like a comic at first. You see Batman be Batman, and it's like, holy shit, bend me over, spread my cheeks like butter, and fuck me, Batman, because that was so good. Like, for a second, I really thought that I was reading a comic and it was just coming straight out of my brain, right? For the first part again. And I think it spoiled us because Avengers usually switches stuff up. Like for example, Ultron wasn't Ant Man. Ant Man wasn't relevant. It changes certain things. But the beginning of the Batman, it was really comic book experience. And like I said, it felt like Matt Reeves opened up a comic book, read it to its entirety, and said, "Okay, I want to recreate this." For some reason, a
Mhm.
lot of the Batman directors they don't read. They're like, "No, I refuse to read because I don't want to be guided." But no, read, please. Use the fucking learning
Use the
ability
source
that you have
material, bro.
to read.
Yeah. Um, Something else I want to point out, and this is like just away from the review, and this is just more of a general discussion I want to bring up, is sort of the little cameos slash possible hints towards future characters. So, I obviously want to start out with the biggest elephant in the room, which is Joker in Arkham Asylum. I think that's cool. What do you guys feel about that? Because I don't know if they really want to make the Joker the main villain again. Not only because Heath Ledger did such an amazing performance himself, because there's already
yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix. So I'm guessing what they're doing with Joker, maybe not in the next movie, but in the movie in the future, is that they're probably going to build him up more and then make him the finale. Like Heath Ledger was supposed to be for Batman. Was it Batman Returns?
No, he was supposed to cameo in the Dark Knight Rises. He was supposed
Rises,
to cameo
okay.
in. He was supposed to be cameo and like help him, I guess, but in a certain way to defeat Bane or like understand Bane.
Gotcha. Okay.
But he wasn't supposed to be like a big plot point. It was just like,
I see the Joker being like a Thanos level threat for Batman.
see, I hope they don't do that. To be fully honest with you,
Yeah.
like the main thing is like you said, we have Joaquin Phoenix, we have Heath Ledger, and even the director said that he doesn't want to take that path, which I think Warner Brothers might interfere with that.
So my question is to you, besides what we had confirmed or hinted at by Matt Reeves, because I know he said he wanted to do Mr. Freeze in a sequel. What do you guys think is going to be in the next installment? Because right now, Batman is learning how to not use just vengeance, but to also be a symbol of hope for his people. And what character do you think personifies or helps Batman towards that symbol of hope?
I mean,
Scarecrow.
no, but there's way too many characters if you think about it.
Yeah,
Because,
it's like
for
the
example,
overall theme of Gotham.
yeah, there's multiple. Like for example, this is a character that a lot of people forget, but I love. Mad Hatter is a crazy villain who will definitely like force that idea of hope on Batman. Because when your whole thing is almost mind controlling and illusions, not on a fearful level, but on a lack of trust, inviting that idea of having to trust again, having to bring hope to yourself and what will make you you is awesome. And then obviously, as a big Bane fan, I would also want to see Bane, but not right now. Even though people are saying that the adrenaline thing is Venom,
I really think the adrenaline thing is
I
Venom.
agree.
I
Yeah.
have no idea how
I
you
want
can't
to.
see that,
No,
man.
because the
I
thing
mean,
is,
there's two options there. There's always two options there. It would either be like an integrated version of fear toxin because fear instills adrenaline,
So,
like
uh, le-
obviously.
yeah, let's continue
that
what you were
could
saying.
be a
We'll
thing.
we'll get back to this.
yeah,
Continue what you were
we'll
saying.
put a pin on this. But what's it called? But I feel like Bane at some point should become a main villain, and I don't mean Tom Hardy Bane. I mean a good macho Bane type of thing, and I want to see him break the Batman like he did in comics, like for example the Nightfall comics or the Conquest comics, and really bring that whole the dark version of Batman, the yin to the yang.
Yeah.
Graham, I have one question for you. Do you think though that we can't do it within the next one? Like this would be like a third one, if not a fourth one, kind of deal, because we need like
Yeah,
a more
definitely,
developed
yeah.
Batman.
Yeah, I think we need a Batman that is built up so much that Bane needs to shatter him down.
Exactly,
It-
exactly.
Right.
That's
In,
exactly
in the
right.
co-
See,
in the
I
comic,
understand you.
Hell
in
yeah.
in the comic, it was when
I get you.
literally
Pedro.
when Bane broke Batman, it was literally leading him to retirement. Literally, when he broke his back, it was leading to retirement. And when we see that in The Dark Knight Rises, Batman was only Batman for 2 years. If you really look into the story, because The Dark Knight and Batman Begins literally take place within a year. So it's been Batman for 2 years. He's retired for 8, but it made it seem like he was Batman the whole time, but he really wasn't. And it was literally put him out and bring him back. So it felt underwhelming. It wasn't.
Speaking on to Bane, and I wanted to come back to this. The adrenaline. Now, you can say what you want. I think Grimm made a good point, and I'm just gonna reiterate it because we had a conversation about this. The way Venom works, like the fully realized Venom, is that it's like you said it was a steroid, correct?
Basically, yes. Can I
Yes.
go into detail for this one?
By all means, sir, go ahead.
So the way Venom works is that any person already with already established muscles, their muscles will enhance beyond 20%. It'll be, for example, Bane. He already has big muscles. He's already a big, strong guy because of his life in Santa Prisca. But the Venom makes him break through walls. The Venom is the reason why he's extra big. Like for example, he's 6 foot without Venom, right? 6 foot big in muscle, so like 230-ish, 240-ish pounds. But then when he uses the Venom, he could grow up to 10 whole feet and have that muscle build up like 10 times its size. So
Yeah.
for Batman, we didn't see any of that. We just saw him like sort of kind of like flash it. Like he got what's that in the show Flash? What was that thing that they were like bumping around?
Velocity.
Velocity, yeah. It was like velocity. Like
How do I know that?
he sort of just got up and he was instantly like aggressive but not stronger.
I think you can just like you said, this is like Batman at his beginning of his career. You can really just make the argument that this is like a prototype of Venom, where it doesn't give you the muscle mass, it gives you just like a rush of adrenaline and like that. I think it's cool. I feel like if you want to just call it a nice little Easter egg to Bane, sure. But I would like to see Bane in not in the near future, but in the future of this series.
Yes.
What was another character that we got? So, yes, another thing that I wanted to mention is that most, if not all of the Riddler ciphers are revealed. And one of the final ones revealed comic book codes and certain numbers. Some of them referred to the Penguin's first appearance, the Riddler first appearance, I think Detective Comics #1, and the last one, besides the date of the release date for the Batman, was a comic book of where Two-Face escapes Arkham Asylum. Now, I'm not saying that that's Two-Face at the end of the movie, but it could be a nice little nod to who the main villain is in the next one. And I actually wouldn't mind it to be Two-Face and not as Harvey Dent, if that makes sense.
So you would rather Two-Face already exist as opposed to be originated again?
Because, and I'm not saying just because you've seen it before in The Dark Knight doesn't mean it should happen again. I would just like to be surprised. I was surprised with how they chose to do the Riddler. I want to be surprised again at how they decided to do Two-Face. Because I think Matt Reeves can be very smart and can change Two-Face into still being like fundamentally the same character, just born and created through different methods.
See-
No, go, Lewis.
See how I see that. I will love to see Two-Face. I don't think he's gonna be in the next one. I think he's gonna be in the third film. I think they're gonna develop him like they did with the Penguin, where he's in the film, but not as Two-Face yet.
I
they're
have
doing.
a suggestion to that, and I didn't even think about it until you just said it, Lewis. They're gonna develop Penguin like they've done so far. They basically laid the groundwork for him now, and he's just gonna grow and continue. What if what if the third movie was going to be a war between a crime war between Penguin and Two-Face on like the scale of Gotham, and Batman has to stop
that'd
it.
be more like a mob thing. I don't think Two-Face would be a part of the mob unless
Well, he's actually been in he's had a gang, a mob, whatever you want to call it, and
But-
there's actually been plenty of like gang related wars
the
in
thing
Gotham
I'm
based
getting-
around different villains.
The thing I'm getting at in this world, I think Harvey Dent or any version of Two-Face will come in because they already killed off the DA, so they're gonna get a new DA. That's already known. So we're gonna see a new version of a DA, even if that's Harvey Dent or
Wait, they
someone
did kill
else.
off the DA, didn't they? Fuck. See,
Yeah.
man, it's gonna be Harvey Dent, man.
Yeah, it's going. It's going. I don't think he's gonna be the villain for the second film. I think they're going to develop it for the third film where he's gonna be the villain. The second film, I'm not really sure who they're really going to play for. For me, I hope it'd be Two-Face, but in reality, they might.
I think
something else.
yeah, sorry. Yeah. I really think it's between Mr. Freeze and Two-Face. And like here's my pitch for Two-Face. And I know like I'm not a Two-Face fan. I just like the possibility of having a different version of the character and being exposed to, a different perspective. I think it would be cool if he starts out as Harvey Dent, but he's already Two-Face secretly, And instead of like trying to rebuild Gotham, he's trying to steal away whatever progress Batman made in the first movie and whatever time skip, if they ever do it, between the first and the second, right? And he's trying to destroy Gotham from the inside out, and then reveals himself to be Two-Face.
That's interpretation.
But I also do want to cry with Mr. Freeze. I really would want to fucking... Because do you guys remember the Batman animated series episode that's like centers around Mr. Freeze?
Yeah.
That shit caught me, dude. Fuck.
That's why I think not Two-Face, Mr. Freeze could be one of the perfect things. Because I think we could actually connect with that character a little bit more because of his story from the animated series. I think we have the director that really could bring that out as well.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is about that is like, what lesson will he learn? The only lesson I could see from after this film is that how far will you go to show your morality, your human side?
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel he's gonna show more Playboy here, but in the third film he's gonna show it out. Because
are you talking about Batman or are you talking about Two-Face?
Batman.
Okay,
he's gonna show a little.
I didn't know if you were specific on
Because
that.
if we're doing where it's Riddler now, he's a nobody. Riddler as a villain, Bruce Wayne's nobody. Bruce Wayne becomes a little bit more of a playboy. Freeze as a villain shows him that you have to have a human side of it, and that's why he takes on the persona of Mr. Freeze, so he can save his wife. Third film, it could be Two-Face completing the Batman trilogy as his origins of becoming the true full Batman, like they did with Spider-Man.
Do you think though, then that they should include Joker at all? Then, like, do you think that it was necessary?
I don't think they're going to include Joker. I don't think they'll include Joker until later on.
I think they will.
I think they should.
Unless Warner
choice.
Brothers intervenes, I think Matt Reeves has a way to use the Joker, not as a villain, but as in the background.
Well,
Yeah,
they're
that's
going the
what-
route of Warner Brothers having
Cause-
their own
cause-
things.
So my question is to you guys: what characters that we didn't discuss already would you like to see in a Batman sequel? Let's start with Zach. Zach, what would you like to see in a
In the
Batman
sequel?
Like, what villain would you like to see?
Like part 2, right? We're not going trilogy based stuff.
in the sequel of the Batman.
Okay, so probably like you said, Mr. Freeze, because that would be a real tearjerker, and it would really broaden Batman's humanity in a sense and just character overall.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably either Crane or Joker, because I feel like Two Face is like leading somewhere. But honestly, no, it would be Freeze, Crane, or Joker or Two Face, because Joker I feel like would be a good final villain for like everything. And I just feel like it should have been in the original Dark Knight trilogy, but like that's a whole separate argument. I think that those three though would be great. So Freeze, Crane, and Two Face, or Scarecrow for those that don't know.
What about you, Grim?
Mainly because I don't think we've ever seen him in a film, and he's a very much forgotten character. I feel like Mad Hatter would bring something new to the Batman table.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's like a mixture of Scarecrow and the Riddler, but he's also his own thing. He has his own psychedelic effect and his own way of envisioning the world that I think it'd be good to see the Batman genuinely question everything. I feel like with the Riddler, it was pretty much like, oh, I don't agree with you, but you did work out my brain. With Mad Hatter, it would be like, what even am I, and what am I trying to do in reality? And so I feel like he should be a villain that should be introduced hopefully next movie. I doubt it.
That is our idea though, having Matt Hatter, because you could also play him out as a serial killer as well.
Yeah, exactly. And another one again, I'd say Mr. Freeze. It's time we see a better origin of Mr. Freeze and a better connection to Nora, because I feel like the whole character of Mr. Freeze is he's a man in distress who's not a regular criminal, who's not a serial killer, who's not trying to create chaos. He's just a man who truly is using science to bring back his wife. And if we already have Mad Hatter making Batman question his morality, Mr. Freeze would be like a hit in the heart, like, holy shit, there's a lot to these villains more than wanting to be a serial killer or creating chaos. And it'd be that whole moral twist for Batman.
I like it because there is a part of Batman that, like in the comics, he pities the people he puts away because he feels like that, sure, they're criminals, they have to do the time, but what if he could change them? What if he can try to maybe not fully save, but try to like help them steer them away from the path that he's going down, I think that's powerful, and I would love to see that for sure. Ralph.
Personally, I don't really care.
You
Wow,
just want
hot
it to be a
take.
good movie?
Yeah, I really don't care who the villain is because I think that either way, the second film is going to be the one that's gonna take a hit. Like, no matter what you do, you're gonna be no matter what Matt Reeves does, he's gonna be reaching like so far for this movie, but it's not gonna, because everyone, literally, this whole conversation has been anticipating who's gonna be the big bad of movie 3. Who's gonna be movie 3? Nobody really cares about movie 2. Like, it's gonna be down to like, from predictions, it's most likely gonna be down to like Mr. Freeze or what else did you guys say? Or Two Face. Like, that type of stuff is like subplot type of thing. I would actually like to see Scarecrow, but I feel like there's a lot of adaptations, especially seeing him from Titans. That was kind of shit.
We don't
But-
talk
He was in
about
Titans?
Yeah, he was in
Titans is still going?
Yeah,
that.
season 4 's
It
coming
What
out.
the
went.
fuck?
It
Season
went.
Season four's
Season
gonna
4?
Season 4 is gonna start filming soon or something like that.
Oh.
What the fuck?
Honestly, if you're talking about the subplot for like the second movie and all that, then it just should be Hush.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
That could be
No,
good.
no.
Hush would
Ooh,
be
Thomas
good.
Elliott?
I like
Yeah.
Hush.
Oh,
I like Hush,
Hush
but
would be good.
too much because his whole thing is he changes identity because he gets surgery. So it'd be too much of a mystery. He's like a Riddler type of mystery. history.
That's
No,
the point.
he's definitely a long-term villain like Bane, like where you have to overcome something. He's not
Yeah.
a very short-term villain, like where you can fight him and get it, like
And Matt had
deconstruct him and then get over it.
and throw away.
Yeah, Hush is very much like a core villain, and the only reason Joker kind of gets away with it is because like he's played Batman forever, so it's kind of just ingrained in how we view Batman. But like Hush and Bane, they're very big players and like messing with Batman.
The main thing is, I think they got to take a risk for this like the second film, because like this third film is what I feel like. I feel like the third film is what we're all waiting for, like to see the Joker, to see Bane, to see characters like that, like big characters that'll take Batman down a size. Like that's what we're waiting for, and it feels like that everyone wants to give it so much time for that like nobody really cares about, like they want development, but they just want to build Batman up for the second film and then knock him down for the third. Like that's what it feels like to me, at least.
So
Hell
then
yeah,
I
brother.
think Scarecrow would be the greatest
I don't
fit
think
for that because he'll mess
going to
with
see the
Batman, but
Joker.
he'll overcome it.
So my final thought to you, gentlemen, is that how much would you want to see a sequel for this movie? Do you feel like we're finished with Matt Reeves as Gotham?
No,
Shouldn't.
no. And the problem is, again, he didn't know that he was gonna have a sequel. That's why he sort of made it long. But now that he knows that he could continue, I feel like he should finally just slow down, take time, and not worry about putting everything in there. And that's what I'm excited for. I'm excited to see him learn from his mistakes, but bring that back, that comic book esque, because that's what I'm here for.
And to wrap this up, ladies and gentlemen, we want to say thank you, Matt Reeves. Thank you, Robert Pattinson. Thank you, the cast of The Batman. It was a great movie. And I think it is hopeful to the future of Batman, not only as, like in the comics, but it's hopeful to the future of his movies. So yeah, cheers to you guys. And I think this is a good place to wrap it. We've given our proper thoughts on this. Guys, have a great rest of your night. I am CurlyBardock. This is NovaNuclear, Grimmo, Mr. Shades, and yes, have a great night.